Do I ever worry that I'm dealing with mind control? That's the question. You know, when I started teaching this technique, developing and teaching it many years ago, I did talk a lot about the actor's mind and the character's mind and shutting down the actor's mind and then igniting the character's mind. And I think even back then, if someone had said something about mind control to me, I said, no, I'm not doing that, even though that's exactly what I was saying. So I think it is a form of mind control, and I have learned from some other people who are a lot more experienced than I am in this territory that this is a form of hypnosis, and that it is very controlling, and that it is playing with the way the mind works. So yes, it is mind control. It is also, from the way I see it, it is mind control where the other participant, the actor, is totally willing to go and knows what's going to happen, is going to go along with it. So it's not the kind of hypnosis where I'm trying to trick them into being a chicken or something like that. I'm not doing that. It's a collaboration between me and the actor. But the question was, am I worried about it being mind control? Not really. Not really. Actually, what I'm doing with the actor is very much what the actors try to do on their own, which is to shift. I need to shift into the mindset of the character. I need to become the character. Now that's mind control all by themselves. Can I stop thinking about this and thinking about that? Can I make this a priority and make that, put that on the back burner? What I'm doing is actually helping to facilitate that. So actually, the mind control is it's a part of the process. Okay, this question is about improvisation being a part of the American culture, but also American theatrical culture, theater, film, television, all of that. And does it work as well in a culture where it's more stylized? That's interesting because, I'm thinking of it's a great question. It actually gets, for some reason, my mind goes to England, where I've taught a lot, where a lot of the actors, their training is much more classical, and maybe stylized, things like that. And where, as we all know, this is sort of a cliche, where they work from the outside in. Laurence Olivier was, if he didn't have the right costume, if he didn't have the right nose, the big thing, he had to have the right nose before he could find the character. That's working from the outside in. My way of working is working from the inside out, which is much more Stanislavski or group theater or Strasberg and even Meisner, working from the inside out. So the stylized is working from the outside in. Because I've taught a lot in England and other places which are more classically trained, ironically, I've never run into what I felt was a cultural problem in terms of the way of exploring who the characters are, or in a way of actors exploring. Not a cultural. I have run into personal problems. So when there are certain actors who cannot let go of their way of working. I directed one actress in 2 plays that I did, and who, once she got the part, she learned all the lines, and she came to the first day of rehearsal. All the lines were learned, and she was very proud of that, and the performance was pretty much set. You could hear it in the first reading, and It didn't change much during all the rehearsal process, despite everything I was trying to do and other actors were trying to do to get her to loosen up and be not even improvising the lines, but be emotionally more improvisational, just to let things happen. And but that's an individual case where she was so, I think, fearful of losing control. And I think that loss of control is what a lot of actors are afraid of. Whether that's a cultural thing in some cultures or not, I don't know. But I remember with this one actress, I worked with the one big scene she had in the play with this other actor, and he was frustrated because she was so locked down. And so I spent a lot of rehearsal with the two of them to try to help open up this scene in an emotional improvisational way. And finally, I was able to loosen it up a lot. And it was really good. And I said, that's great. That's great. Let's keep working that way. She said, okay, now I need to go home and memorize everything we just did. And she did. And she came back and was able to lock that in. What we had discovered in one rehearsal, she locked that in and never veered from that. So that was a problem. But I don't know about cultures where
India.
Improvisation, Elsa says India. Well, we're beginning to work a little bit in India now, and maybe we'll find out. I don't know. I have a story. It's not India, it's Japan. The first time I was teaching in Japan. And this was before this, all the interrogation technique had been developed, long before. But I was teaching them my way of directing. And I remember this was all done through translators, which was not a problem. But I was doing scenes from When Harry Met Sally. I was being very open with the directors and the actors, saying, how would you like to approach the scene? How do you see the characters? What do you think is going on in the scene? And I remember one of the actors saying to me, what do you mean? What do you mean? I said, well, what do you think Harry really wants here? What does Harry want? What is he trying to get? And his answer was, what about Billy Crystal? And I said, well, what about him? But Billy Crystal played it this way. And he was trying to play it the way Billy Crystal did. Now, culturally, in Japan, the way performing artists are trained, even the actors, but especially if you look at kabuki theater and some of the more traditional theater that goes back for centuries, is to imitate other performers. The kabuki artist does this move this way, you do it that way. And to the point that the audience expects that move and expects that turn and that turn of the head. That's what you have to learn. You learn by imitating. You learn by mimicking. You are locked for years with an older actor who is your mentor, who will teach you nothing except you watch him and you do it the way he does, and you see if you can do it as well, maybe even better as well. That's cultural. And it has actually infused the world of acting to the point that these actors that I was working with thought that the way Billy Crystal had done it and Meg Ryan had done these scenes, that's the only way it should be done. And when they realized, no, it's not the only way, there are many other ways, and you can come up with the ideas, suddenly I had an interesting situation on my hands with all these actors who were suddenly freed. Like, I can do this. I said, you can do that. I can do this. Yes, you can do that. I can look at it this way. Yes, you can. They were so free, and they had a great time exploring their own, quote, improvisational ways or mindset of approaching characters and scenes.